Hey there, Halt Catch fans. Welcome back to the Halt Catch Fire AfterBuzz After Show. We're here breaking down Season 3, Episode 4, The Rules of Honorable Play. It's going to be a bear of a show. Stay tuned. We will see you in a sec with a special guest.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh, there it is. There is that special music that we all have come to know and love.
Yes.
My name is Isaac Johnson. Follow me on Twitter, please, at Isaac Johnson, or Instagram, The Isaac Johnson. I'm once again joined by Amber Plaster.
Hey guys, my name is Amber Plaster. Thanks for watching. You guys can tweet me your predictions at Amber Plaster.
And our very special guest with Fists of Fury, Jona Xiao. How you doing?
I'm great.
Where can the people find you online if they choose to follow you on Twitter or social media?
Sure. It's all under Jona Xiao. That's JonaXiao on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Wonderful, so much. We're going to get right into the show, but really quickly, I just want to remind you all of something coming up on the TV. In the history of television, it's never been so funny, so dramatic, or so good. Think about the shows that are on TV. There's House Cards, Modern Family, Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones. What else is on TV?
Blackish. I love that show. Homeland, Better Call Saul, Veep,
Right.
Transparent, Silicon Valley, Mr. Robot, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
I mean, really, it's like the television's golden age is right now.
Oh yeah, and don't forget The Americans, Transparent, and Master of None.
And on Sunday, September 18th, television's greatest night is the biggest live event of the year. You can watch that show that celebrates television's great Emmy Awards. And there's no better night to watch the best, there's no better night to watch the best of the best face off and see your favorite shows win.
Plus, you can see what everyone's wearing on the red carpet, see who looks as hot as they do in real life as they do on TV.
So be there when one of the funniest men on television, Jimmy Kimmel, hosts the Emmys live Sunday, September 18th, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific Standard, only on ABC.
Yeah, and now let's get into your entrance.
Yes.
What an entrance.
Wasn't that as smooth an entrance as,
As
yours?
I guess I've gotten a lot of practice with this whole punching thing.
Yeah.
Have you? You beat a lot of men in real life? Is this what you do?
Maybe.
Okay. Well,
It doesn't count if you don't get caught, right?
All right, that's the golden rule.
I think that's what they teach you. Yeah, I think
so.
Yeah, I think that's a rule. Yeah.
Well, so how did you feel about this episode? This was the kind of a standout episode for you. How did you feel about filming it? How did you feel about watching it?
It was a blast because, a lot of the coders have been on since season 1, and with Mutiny purchasing swap meet, it was really fun to cause so much havoc with some of the other swap meet coders, and it's a pretty big progression from just how chaotic and literally getting to a fist fight in the beginning and then to where they end up. So I think that was a really cool journey. So it was a blast shooting it.
Awesome. I always love the episodes. I'm a big fan of the show. I particularly liked from like a technical standpoint. I thought it was really cool to see Gordon's like point of view, see his like watching the microwave clock countdown. I thought that was a really cool insight into like where he is and mapping like where he is, with like the 6 and the 7 and all these kinds of things. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I actually wrote that down. That about Gordon, like literally, what other person on this planet would be that precise with tracking an illness? Like if anyone's gonna find a cure for an unknown illness, it's gonna be Gordon.
Yeah.
That guy is just incredible.
Very cool. So you were telling me before we started here about hitting Scoot McNairy. By the way, did you really hit him?
We shot that several times. I may have clipped him once.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Now, did he react to that, or was he just in the moment?
I think it's hard to tell because when we were shooting and his reaction, he gets a little upset.
Right.
So I'm not sure. It could have been really genuine at that moment.
It could have been. And you were saying there was some sort of alternate take.
This was actually it was the alternate take. Oh, this was the alternate take. Yeah, the punch. Okay. That day of shooting, when we were shooting that particular scene, that's not what I thought would be happening. So in the original script, and this is what we first did, at that point when everyone's like getting really upset and very aggro, Nick Pupo, who plays Carl, he like takes off his shirt to get ready to fight, and then I decide I'm gonna do the same because I get super amped, and so I just like rip off my shirt, and I'm wearing a surprisingly feminine leopard print bra.
Okay.
And it just stops everyone. They're just like whoa, like someone's going too far.
Yeah.
And then Bodhi actually says, "That's a girl." So that was just a different way of just stopping the fight. But
Very
then
cool.
We did the punch, so that was a different take and
Man,
fun
I
as
love
well.
them both. I want to see
Yeah.
them.
I know. Maybe it'll be in like the deleted scenes.
Yeah, season 3 deleted scenes. That would be funny. There's always like that person at the party who gets like a little too amped up too fast, and you're easily that person. You're like,
Yep.
what did you said? Like, oh, let's kill him or something like
Let's
that.
kill these a-holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your character is a scrappy person.
Yeah, she's a woman among, men.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like,
Holding your ground.
A woman among boys, I would say. I don't know that any of these guys are really real grown-ups. Maybe Gordon is the closest.
that's fair. I'm like, Donna and Cameron, they're handling it in a different way, and mine, my method of dealing with the guys is a bit different, I would say.
I mean, I can relate to that. I grew up with 4 brothers, so
Yeah.
when you're in a room full of brothers, you speak a different language.
Sure.
And it's an aggressive language. Otherwise, you don't get hurt. But
Yes.
I don't know about hitting, but I don't know. But it was great. Loved
I'm
it.
gonna assume that happens when you grow up with brothers. There's some wrestling at the
Oh
very
yeah,
least,
when we're kids, yeah.
Totally. I also just love this open of the show maybe the most of any of the episodes because you hit him, there's that moment, everybody panics. Of course, we know exactly what's going on with Gordon, his mental state.
Yeah.
And then he's just, what the and then music. I was like, perfect.
My face when that 15 seconds of yeah, let's get everyone calm down. Punch. It's a girl. What? I was just like this as it went to credits and then the music comes on. I was just goosebumps. That was just so well done. It was such a treat. And for a show that is slightly slower paced, it was it was a nice little surprise.
It was a very action-packed episode in more ways than one.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably the most adrenaline-filled opening of the show at this point that I can think of.
What I love about the show is they will surprise you with moments that are oh, like that. And one moment that has happened for me was when Gordon fell down the stairwell.
Yeah, in season 2.
And he got lost in season 2. It was just boring. Okay, blah, 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 blah. He falls and he really eats it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think they used a stunt double for that. And then there's some moments in the show where you're like, and that was one of them, when you're punching him, and I was like,
That was
they
not
make
a
you
stunt
think it's going to
fist
be chill.
from this point. Yeah.
Nope, not a stunt fist.
No stunt fist, you're a real fist. What's it like? I mean, we met Joshua Hoover. He came on the show last year.
He's awesome.
What's it like with all of these guys? Is it as much fun as it seems? Because it seems like you guys probably just goof around and then film scenes.
We might have done that. Yeah, they were so welcoming and sweet. All of them. Josh Hoover's amazing. They have a 24/7 Facebook chat that
Really?
I got added to.
Awesome.
Where we just send all sorts of memes and GIFs all day long.
GIF or GIF? This was debated on episode 1.
I'm going to say GIF.
Okay.
I'm going to stick with that. GIF.
Okay, fair enough.
And then we also backstage, you guys saw the duck hunt on the episode. We at one point we had a pretty long break, so we got to play Mario Brothers on the Nintendo, and also
The original Mario Brothers? Nice.
yeah, I actually did pretty well.
All right.
Not all the coders are so good with the the Mario Brothers.
I don't think most of these guys, and probably including you, were alive when the original Mario Brothers came out. Probably not, I guess.
I played Super Mario Brothers 3 growing up, so maybe that gave me a little bit of practice.
That's one of the best Mario Brothers. Love it.
So yeah, it was really fun, bonding with the guys. Just we would be shooting all day, and then we would hang out at night too, and so they were just very welcoming, and it was just a treat to be part of. And we played board games also, in the trailers.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's awesome.
So-
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite coder besides yourself?
Oh, I really bonded with Josh Brady, who plays Robot, because we joined at the same time, and we were the swap meet people. we're both actually in 303, but you can't, it's just like a wide shot when they come into the swap meet building. And yeah, we would just, I got to know him pretty well. We ate many meals together, and he's awesome. And yeah,
Well,
and if I had to pick.
If you had to pick. I mean, this is a court of law, so
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
you are under oath. I personally like Lev. I think he's like my favorite coder. I kind of wish I could see a little bit more of him, but they're all really funny. So this laser tag game.
Yes.
I'm assuming you guys just actually played laser tag.
We did, and the lasers only had so much battery life, and so we were told, just save it for the shots, but most of us didn't. I'd be like halfway through filming, and someone's like, "Oh, my gun, I can't fire anymore."
Whoops.
So I mean, they worked and everything, and
That's awesome.
yeah, that was probably one of the scenes that I was in that took the longest to shoot because there's so much to coordinate. And I really liked the war paint too.
Yeah.
I like it too. It was a nice touch. And also, like, it made sense because Gordon is so intense about gaming, as we saw.
Yes.
But from, like, I really loved seeing the old NES Duck Hunt.
Oh,
That was my first game.
Wasn't that just a nice moment?
Yeah.
And I thought, like, wow, what is it, like 8-bit, 16-bit graphics or something like that? Like, wow.
8-bit graphics, yeah.
It was that. It looked awful. It was like boxes like moving around on
it
screen.
was magic. He jumped behind the grass. There was clouds.
That annoying dog that would
That
always pop
annoying
up and
dog.
laugh at you when you wouldn't shoot the dog. Childhood trauma just right back to me.
When you lose and you're like, oh, I can't hear that noise again.
Yeah, exactly. It was a nice moment too for Gordon to sort of like try to rally the teams together.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool. And also needed because there's all this sort of friction. I didn't realize, I guess, until you just said it, that, oh yeah, you were part of Swap Meet coming over. When you guys filmed that scene in episode 3, and like the office is generally pretty bare.
Yes.
For a moment there, I thought, does anyone actually work here?
Yeah.
Well, I was doodling, and Josh, who plays Robot, was using one of those like cameras that click, where there's the different pictures.
What's it
Like
called?
a kaleidoscope?
Yeah, like one of those. And so he was just playing with that. So none of us were actually working during work.
Did they tell you anything as far as like what's supposed to be happening here, or was it just like
That we were not working. So really anything but work.
fair enough?
We were trying to make predictions last episode about Swap Meet. Were they going under, or was it just poor leadership that led to their employees not working? We couldn't figure it out. We were like, what's going on over there? Should they maybe not buy that company?
Yeah, it
What's
seemed like.
happening with Swap Meet?
Are they hiding something? Why don't they have a secretary? No one's answering
terrible.
the phone.
Right. And I think that there was a lot of potential, but clearly there was some issues with management.
Sure.
So.
Well,
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
yeah, thing 1, thing 2. Let's talk about them since we have a lot of show to cover here. Cam is not getting along too well with thing 1, thing 2. She can't even call them by their names. She knows their names.
No, she doesn't want to know their names. She don't want to know their names.
Yeah, they bought their company. I think sort of later they kind of get into why she's holding on to this code. She created it with Tom. Well, let's hope we see Tom back at some point. That'd be so wonderful.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
really liked his character.
Yeah, but like this, she's basically unwilling to let go of this code so they can do this like C++ thing. These are all the computer terms that I know. I'm just learning them today. But for you, I guess, do we know like why there's so much animosity between these three? Is it just like this is special to me, this is special to me, I'm not going to move?
I think that's part of it, but also like Joe talks about in the episode that he, in a way, it's like he didn't really want to get bought, and then also to be undercut by so much too on the price. And so I think he was a little bit salty about that.
Very salty.
Yeah. And to me, his character is a bit sexist, especially with this conversation with Cameron.
Just a tiny bit, yeah.
And so I think that that's an issue for him too, is like he was used to running it with his boy, and then now he has to listen to these two women who he's having a really tough time getting along with. And he's not really trying very hard either.
Yeah, she's not making it easy on them.
I was just going to say, like, I'm like the biggest feminist on the planet, but she is
right behind me.
but she's making it really difficult for them. She's abusing them verbally, pretty much. She's not listening to any of their good ideas. She refuses to take any of their notes in their meetings. And so I think Cameron honestly needs to learn that in business, if you verbally abuse pretty much your employees or your partners, they're, I don't want to say gonna be sexist with you, but they're gonna be abusive back in some way. And so you're gonna have to like learn to deal with the consequences of your actions. I mean, they're still wrong. They're both wrong. Yeah. You know, I think it was handled so well to show like they kind of were pushed to their boiling point. But I think you're right. I think they like kind of idle at sexist, and I think that's why your character is so always on the defense for anything the guys say.
Yeah, I mean, during the laser tag, I shoot my own teammate when he calls someone a pussy. I'm like,
you're like, no,
that's sexist. Yeah, like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. What does that say about your bosses? Like, I'm sure you're always having to correct them and be like, guys, you can't say that about me.
Yeah, like I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, even so, Doug like is sort of offering the olive branch to Cameron there, trying to like smooth things over. They have a nice talk at night, and then the next day she's like, "Yeah, we gotta fire those guys." I'm just like, this is the Cameron that we've had from like season 1 and season 2. Like, I'll do whatever I want to do, and I don't care who suffers at the hands. Like basically who has to suffer based on what I want.
I'm on Cameron's side on this one. She's trying to run her company her way, and these guys are being stupid. And I don't know that them pushing a good idea matters in the scope of her genius or in the scope of her company.
Interesting.
I'm like, I get it. If they were my employees, they'd be gone too.
Yeah, well, and certainly if there's a power struggle, she's probably going to win unless Danya betrays her, which happens later in the episode. But
can you believe it? I was like,
to some degree, I don't know that, and this is just my personal take, like she's a very smart person. She can keep track of the code in her head. She challenges Doug on that, although I think it was before he called her a bitch, but later on he calls her a bitch. Yeah. But she challenges him on that, but I'm like, is she really like sort of like front office, like management material, or is she just the smartest person in the room and sort of makes people suffer because of how intelligent she is, but she didn't really seem to have a lot of people skills.
There's actually a lot of duplicity in this, not duplicity, not in that they're lying to one another, but what's the word I'm looking for? Like two characters kind of mirroring each other. There's a little bit of mirroring happening when Gordon mentions to Boz, everyone likes you. Isn't it good to just, not be the boss, to be number 2 and just party and be able to have fun? Like, I'm doing what I love and this is great and I'm not in charge of this company living or dying. I feel like that mirrors directly what Cameron should be doing, where she wants to like be passionate, and I don't know that she has the ability to lead.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I mean, she's very smart on the technical side and she's a brilliant coder, but she's never really been taught how to be a leader. And
she has no leadership skills.
Right, and it's a lot of growing pains because now she's in this leadership role, but communication isn't her strongest asset, and
democracy is not her strongest asset.
She may call it that, but I don't think it's actual democracy.
Yeah.
There was a nice moment too for her. Well, not a nice moment, I guess, but it was, the stepdad calls about her dad, the past. I mean, I almost forgot that her real name's not actually Cameron. That's her dad's name.
I also had a reaction. I was like, Catherine?
Yeah, and then right, yeah. In season 2, we learned that that's not her real name. That's her dad's name.
Which is very metal of her to change her name.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. And so, they're selling all the stuff. That's got to mean something to her personally. It almost seemed like for a minute there, and this is, I don't know, just like the way my brain operated, but like when they started talking to her about her dad, it's almost like in some ways like that's where her mental age is in some way. Like she's still sort of like, that was like a traumatic experience for her. Obviously your dad, dying when you were really young, and it's almost like in some ways it kind of speaks to like how she sort of deals with people, which is not really like an adult. I hate to put her down. I love the character, but it's almost like she sort of reacts like a child. Like, that's mine. Don't take my thing. Like, this is the way I want to do it. I don't care what anybody else thinks.
And she runs. Sometimes she runs kind of away from her problems as opposed to dealing with certain things.
Yeah, like not meeting up and firing the people she said she was going to.
Yeah. Now, did she really oversleep? I mean, it looked like she did.
It looked like she did, but at the same time, if you really, really want something,
if it's important enough,
you'll do it, right? I don't know. I just feel like if if she was like, I don't know. I just feel like she was like, okay, I'm going to do that thing that I really don't want to do. Let me just take a nap first, kind of procrastinating. And then, oh, darn, I overslept.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
it was a tough line for me to kind of figure out, but at the same time, I thought, she's basically just overworking herself. She continues to take on responsibility. And then, of course, she slept through this meeting because she's trying to have control of everything. And if she would delegate, maybe she could sleep some hours, or maybe play more duck hunt with Gordon that night or something like that. There's
some quote that I'm going to butcher now about like half of leadership is delegation.
Yeah.
And I think we're all collectively doubting Cameron's leadership. And like in any good company, if you need to micromanage every little thing, not only are your subordinates going to resent you, but your company's going to fail because you're not going to be able to sleep and you're not going to be able to make disciplined decisions. So I think you hit the nail on the head when you said she can't even delegate. She can't even trust Donna.
Yeah.
Well,
now maybe there's a reason.
But let's talk about that, because this is the first moment where Donna has not backed Cameron. For the most part, I think she backs her 100%. But now that was pretty dirty. No, to twist Diane's words, or not twist Diane's words, basically to lie.
I kind of thought, well, maybe she's just testing her. She'll be like, oh, that's okay. And then Donna will be like, the next day, let them go and be like, yeah, this is what you want. I just want to make sure you were still cool, not losing your mind. Like, because I think Donna's really concerned for Cameron's state of mind.
I mean, she needs a mother, and Donna's essentially going to be that person. Yeah. Well, so, and then Cameron asks Boz, she says, when did you know you were losing Cardiff? So maybe she's already sort of on to that things are sort of
that really surprised me that she was even that aware.
It did. It seemed to almost come out of nowhere, but at the same time, I thought she's a very smart person.
She's kind of like a genius savant, in that way, where she's really smart with like certain things, and then really terribly not strong in other forms of like communication. So like she senses things very strongly. I don't know, but I thought that was really interesting that she said at the end.
Well, also she is probably terrified at the prospect of having to continue working with Doug and Craig. And so
so you think maybe she thinks that Doug and Craig are going to be the problem.
It's
not
possible.
Donna.
Yeah, well,
it could be any it could be all of them. It could be all three, all the above, just because she just got told like, look, you got to work with them, and she's just like, oh.
I thought she was like, Donna's down to me. Like I thought,
it
but
could
you're
be
right.
that too.
It could be just the worries about the guys that she hasn't touched base with.
Could be. Well, because also she had the conversation with Doug where she asked Doug basically like, would you leave your business partner here? And then she says she wants to fire them later on. But
that was very surprised.
Yeah, she asked him that, and then it seemed like she just kind of was gonna stab him in the back, like a scene later or something like that. But it's like maybe now she's somewhat paranoid of them ganging up against her or something like that.
Or maybe she was, because there seemed to be some sort of a little bit of that romantic chemistry in there too, that maybe it's like I'm feeling something, and push away.
Well, last time that didn't turn out so well for her, so maybe that's the case.
That's what I read it as, was she was like, oh, I like you, you're too much.
You know what, it was like a very
letting you too close.
So they drink, they have their time in the office there.
She let her guard down, and her guard is back up. Please pay attention to it. She's like a cat. She's like, my belly was open, now you need to move on.
Very well. I'll assume so. I don't own a cat, so I'm assuming that's how it works.
They're like, oh, I love you.
Okay. This is why
Are you a cat owner?
I have a cat.
Okay.
And you're like, okay, I'll come back to you when you're ready. Jeez.
Yeah. Oh, this is why I'm a dog person.
Unconditional love.
Yes, I know. Just love me. I just want you to be happy that I come home. For anyone to be happy that I come home. So that moment on them with Gordon and Cam on the couch, Donna's kind of in the stairway. Is Donna just being paranoid? I mean, I don't think Gordon would ever looked. I mean, it seemed like there was just like a bit of like, what's going on in here? Let me get you a soda, Gordon. I mean, I don't think that personally there was anything happening.
I mean, I've kind of like stood behind people in my household where they're talking. You're like, oh, what are they doing? Are they talking about work? Okay, that's boring. And you walk away. You're like, oh, that's interesting. That's weird. I'm trying to overhear this. I don't think she's crazy paranoid.
And I think because she had just said to Cameron, hey, you can stay
Right.
You
that's
know,
true. Yeah.
and so it's like, all right.
That was
they're bonding
interesting
a
to
little
me.
bit.
Do you think it's because she's trusting Cameron now for being chill about?
I think she's feeling guilty.
She's feeling
Yeah.
guilty.
No, I would say that.
That seems.
I would say that. Well, and also they go to that place to check it out, and it's like, well, this place isn't good enough for me, or whatever that is. But also just like the sort of mothering thing. She's lost. Maybe she's a lost kitty, and she needs some sort of thing like that. Okay, so let's get to Diane and Boz. I had a prediction last week. I believe I had a prediction last week about Diane and Boz with some sparks flying there, and it certainly seems like Diane is very interested. I'm going to go to the party. I got a +1. Donna, yeah, I'll go with you. You know, I was thinking of somebody, with maybe a alopecia, older gentleman, you know.
You totally called that last week, and you totally called that relationship. And let me tell that ship, like, I ship it. That ship has sailed. It is happening. I'm so excited. But also at the end, when he was talking about, I'm over champagne and parties, I was like, oh no, is he depressed?
Yeah, well,
my perfect boss. I love him.
Now let's not forget, Diane still married. No, we're not still married.
No, she wears her wedding ring. Remember,
she wears her wedding
she's
ring?
divorced.
Or maybe is the divorce not final? For some reason, I felt like it wasn't. I don't know. I can't remember. But it was a curious sort of reaction from him because, one, he keeps telling that bear story. I love all these stories that he's like halfway in the middle of.
Midway through or to the end.
Yeah, and then like but this
Punchline.
is like like he tells it like 3 times, and at the end of the episode, he's like, "Look, that story,
played out. That's enough.
That story's done." But there was just okay, like she's hitting it off with him. John's the life of the party. Boz is the life of the party. She can call him John, apparently.
I loved that.
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, Diane's character terrifies me in the best way possible, which I've talked about on other episodes. I'm like, I'm never good enough. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So great. And so when she walks in and she's like a little embarrassed and she's like, I think I want to invite Boz or John.
Yeah.
And Donna's like, oh, that's what? Really? And
Bosworth.
also, no one calls him that, you weirdo. And she's like, I do.
Yeah.
And I was like, excuse me. She's so good. Even when she's embarrassed, she is like a lion. She's just,
She sees what she wants and she takes it.
Exactly.
wow.
She likes John there or Boz being the life of the party. But it was okay, so things are going well. He's there. He runs into Joe.
Does Diane know Joe?
I mean, she has to know who he is. He's like, he's Steve Jobs.
Because she was playing it real cool. I was like, does she recognize him?
Yeah.
But I think it turns out she does know of him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was like on the cover of Forbes magazine.
Okay.
This whole thing. I think that
She seems like she does her research, like when she knew about swap meet, and it seems like she's in the know in that industry.
easily. But so why do we think that Boz has this reaction to her at the party? You know, she's basically giving him the green light, John.
I don't know. I was really confused about that line. She was like, oh, you're still here. Like, let's, you're the life of the party. He's like, I'm over parties and champagne. And then he like sips his whiskey. So I'm like, okay, you're not an alcoholic. You're not sober. Mm-hmm. What are you over and why are you being suddenly
I think what it was
mean to her?
Was that I think he felt used. That she had brought him to this party to be like this entertainer.
Yeah.
And so I think he misunderstood her intentions because I think didn't Joe said something to Boz.
Yeah, I mean,
and commented, right?
They
about
both said that he was like the life of the party,
but like
killing it, the Southern charm or something like that.
But it was like something kind of insidious, like it was this kind of like underhanded comment.
Well, that'd be Joe. Yeah.
Right? No way, not
He
Joe.
manipulates people just a little bit.
Yeah, and so then that made Boz like feel really uncomfortable with what just happened. And I think that's why he was not very happy by the end. That he was just like, I don't want to be like I'm more than this. I'm not just like some like.
I can see that. I mean, in some ways, like even amongst the coders, it seems like he's kind of like company mascot. Everybody loves him.
Right.
Even when, oh come on, John, let's play laser tag, and he really shuts you guys down there. I didn't see that coming. And maybe
Yes,
that's
he
just
did.
in general. He's like, look, I'm more than just this guy that will tell the cool stories and rile everybody up. Like I actually can do some real work around here.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, what you said is right because he sort of misreads Diane. Because I think she's genuinely charmed by him.
I think so too. Yeah. I don't think she needs anybody to entertain for her at a party or perform for her. I think that he's misreading that because other people are like, oh, you're putting on a show. Like everyone loves a performance, like Joe said. And he's like, is that all I'm good for? And I'm like, no, your girl likes you.
Yeah.
And also, he does make really good deals, and he makes really great deals with Diane. There, they like counter each other very well. So like, even if they weren't into each other, they would be working well together. So
still love that scene from the season. It was great to see them work together.
Yeah.
Ryan and Joe. Let's talk about them.
Not as much of them in this episode.
Not as much of them, but it certainly seems like Joe is just continually disappointed by who Ryan really is.
We get a little bit of hope of Ryan's wheels kind of spinning a little too fast, and he's like, "Sorry, I'm so excited to be here." You know?
Yeah. But even so, like they're brainstorming. They got the board. Everything's written on there. It feels like they're clicking. And Joe's like, "Could you just shut up for like 3 seconds?" And Ryan can't even do that. And then that's when he goes to erase the board. I don't know. He's just continually disappointed by who he really is. And it seems like Ryan isn't like an idea guy like Joe is, or like Gordon was when they worked together. I mean, I know I keep coming back to that every episode.
I think Ryan can be an idea guy because he was an idea guy at Mutiny, and he wasn't being heard. And I think he's not confident at all around Joe, as most people aren't.
That's true.
And so he's like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I think he's just like an excited puppy, and Joe keeps kicking the puppy. Don't kick the puppy, Joe.
True.
He said, what did he say? Something about great. I wrote it down.
Good is the enemy of great.
Yeah, good is the enemy of great.
If there's anything worth remembering, it'll be there in the morning.
In the morning. Yeah. Which was just another nice little dig to poor Ryan. He just wants to make his daddy happy. I mean, Joe happy.
You're right. There's probably some daddy issues there for both of them, I'm sure. But I really, I feel like this is just a me thing, but I hate when, first of all, Ryan didn't listen, which is foreshadowing, I feel like.
Sure.
Because he's like, just be quiet. Like, he couldn't have been more clear.
Yeah.
And Ryan was like, okay, are we quiet? I waited 5 seconds. Hey, are you ready? Ready for my ideas? And he didn't even have anything. He was like, maybe we'll just write down some more stuff. It's like not even an idea. It wasn't even a clear solution. And he interrupted Joe. And I hate what he said. He said, let's circle the 5 best ideas. Okay. The definition of best means
there's only one.
The paramount choice, as in the best choice for there's a ladder. There's number 1, and then there's number 2, number 3. There's not 5 best. There's 5 good, and so it's just like you don't even have anything. You're not even being specific. You don't have a pitch. You don't have an idea. You're just running your mouth. And I think Joe is just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in Ryan, to be honest. I mean, maybe that's just me trying to project that onto Joe, but I am disappointed in him. I thought he was gonna be the guy. I thought he was going to be like a Cameron, to have all these great ideas and really like rile Joe up. It seems like he's just like,
maybe he's not ready.
This is it.
Well, he gives him the task at the end of the episode, right? To like.
Oh yeah.
So maybe that's
true. I mean, I guess who else does he have at this point? He's got Ryan, but he says the ARPANET, which was basically like the precursor to the internet. So it's nice to see that come up there, which was a military thing before we all had the internets, which is what we're on right now. So let's talk about this with Joe. So Cal's son was at Joe's party. Turns out it wasn't a Halloween party. I guess we were wrong about that last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I guess it's just
I really thought it was a Halloween party. Apparently it's just an 80s Coke party.
Yeah, exactly. And so Cal's son was
there. How are we
to
know?
Yeah, I don't know how I would know. Did some recreational drug use at his party, got in some trouble. So now they're trying to make amends here with Ken. By the way, Matt Lillard, great to see him on the show. And it's going pretty well for a minute there. Joe's saying all the right things until Cal starts digging in with these basically he uses some pretty terrible homophobic slurs during the meeting, which it's been a while since we sort of brought up that Joe likes men and women. And I think Joe could have kept the lock on it until he just pushed him. And that moment, I have never cheered so hard for Joe MacMillan in this entire show, because that dude had it coming to him. I loved it.
Well, basically, he was basically alluding to, I think, wanting the gay men to get AIDS.
To catch the flu is what he said, which is AIDS.
To die from AIDS.
So, that's
It's just about as harsh as it could be.
He's like, oh, that sickness that affects all of those weird people and not us. Hopefully they die from it. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Basically.
Which, I mean, he doesn't know that this is who Joe is. No excuse, but, you know, he's, the soft handshakes, and they're not like those weirdos in San Francisco. And I just thought, like, there's no way he can let this sit. Please, read this guy his rights, basically.
I thought there was something interesting that happened, and I feel like I'm not sure on the technology that's happening in that scene where he's like, oh, maybe we're going to do this. Maybe we're going to do this with the packets. And Joe leans in and he goes, the what?
Yeah.
So I think he's like, oh, we don't need you anymore.
Right.
I'll go with this brilliant idea. Now I can end you.
Yeah.
And it was very subtle.
Well, that's basically where they're talking about the military contracts and the ARPANET sort of thing, which is, that's what the idea that he gives to Ryan at the end. Like,
Later,
let's find out about
But
this.
I think Joe would have kept his cool had he not heard that and gotten that idea, because he would have thought that's the main source of my income. I can't bite the hand that feeds me. But he found out, and he's like, great, I'm going to take this little straw and run with it and also ruin you now.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see him like jump at that opportunity.
I'm going to still say it's both. I think it was
You think it's both?
Well, I think it was that, because he's always about the sort of bottom line.
I respectfully disagree. I think Joe can be completely controlled if he needs something.
Okay.
I think he can eat so much crap if he needs something. How he was last season with his fiance's dad,
Sure.
who he did not like. He controlled every conversation that he had with that guy, and he hated that guy.
I don't know. What do you think, Jona?
Oh man, I actually didn't notice what you noticed. So that was a great observation of like him hearing something that he could use and maybe then
It was just a little moment, and he was like, "What?" And then he got aggressive.
Smart. Yeah. I did. You know, if he hadn't heard it, I'm trying to think if he would have kept his cool. And to me, it surprised me because I didn't notice that moment. So I think I was very surprised that he would allow himself to do that because he's so calculated and he controls himself so well, like all the rest of the time.
Yeah, totally.
So I think maybe he would have kept his cool.
He didn't look like he regretted it afterwards. You've seen him blow up a few times at camera, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
He kind of does this, and afterwards he was
apologize.
just like stone cold. And I was like, he has a plan. I don't know. I think
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was
Joe's a snake. He's controlled.
It was a great speech with your wife and feeling your breath on her and all that stuff. I just thought, like, man, you got him. It was so cool. Let's take a few minutes before we jump into predictions, and let's just see if we can make your publicist who's in the room a little nervous. We won't do that, but it is known that you're going to be in Spider-Man Homecoming, which is really fun. I know you can't say much about it, but whatever you can say about it, is there anything you can tell us at all? Just the whole plot synopsis would be great.
I am in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay.
Anything I can say, just stuff that's already publicly out there.
Sure, of course.
Tom Holland's playing Spider-Man. I know.
Can you say if you've already shot?
Yes,
Okay, great.
I did.
Awesome.
It was a great experience.
Ooh.
And yeah, I'm excited. When we were talking for the show, I didn't realize you said it's the first Spider-Man that Marvel's actually
Marvel Studios, yeah.
like helping
That's
produce.
exciting.
It was owned by Sony before. And
Yeah. So I didn't know
and
this
then,
was
no,
like
they
the
kind
first.
they kind of both own it, but let's be honest, Marvel is taking the reins, as they should be.
Yep. As they should be. Well, Spider-Man's the only comic that doesn't squarely belong in either universe. Is that right?
He specifically belongs to Marvel for sure.
Does he? Okay.
It's just that Sony owned it before, so when Marvel Studios was a thing, they couldn't use characters that other studios had already
Yeah,
been.
because I knew there was a problem with not Age of Ultron, but where they're trying to bring
like
X-Men together.
like Quicksilver couldn't be in the same thing.
They couldn't be seen together.
X-Men is owned by Fox. They both have rights to the character, but I think in one version they can't say he's Quicksilver or something like that, from my remembering correctly. Well, that's all the time we have to make your publicist uncomfortable. Let's jump into those predictions. We got 2 minutes. Let's make them fast.
Ooh.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Here it is, Amber Plaster.
Okay,
Predictions.
so I'm so glad that your predictions last week came true. That two of my favorite characters on all of television, Boz and Diane, have a little thing going now. Or maybe it's just one-sided. Maybe it's just Diane. Hope it's not. So my prediction is actually that Donna lied to Cam because she sees Cameron getting completely mental. And I think that Donna is not going to risk it. And I think if necessary, which it's looking like it's going to be necessary, especially with those two sexist guys from Swap Meet pushing Cameron's buttons.
Craig doesn't seem as... Craig seems...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The one.
But Doug.
Yeah.
Doug.
You know,
Doug.
I think that Donna is willing to bring down Cameron's entire operation to save her half of the company. I think there will be a mutiny at Mutiny by Donna.
Love it.
That's my prediction.
Assuming you can't predict anything about the show either, because you know what's going to happen. But
Trying
please
to use my poker face.
tell us. I'm on those lines. I feel like, would Donna push Cameron out? Quite possibly. Also, if Cameron is pushed out, would she then be scooped up by Joe? I think it could happen.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think it could absolutely
Joe would
happen.
love to have Cameron underneath his thumb. Love it.
And maybe a few other things.
And a
as
few
well.
other body parts as well.
Yeah, 'cause
I
they've
heard
done-
that.
They've done that already. But that is my prediction. I think that Cameron gets pushed out and Joe scoops her up. Unfortunately, we're out of time here, Jonah. So nice to have you on our
Thank
show.
you. Thank you
Please
for
tell
having
people
me.
again where they can find you on the internet.
Sure. You can find me at Jona Xiao, JonaXiao, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Lovely.
All right.
Plaster.
Thanks for watching, guys. You guys can tweet me your predictions at Amber Plaster.
And you can tweet me at Isaac Johnson or on Instagram, the Isaac Johnson. Thanks so much, Jonah. Maybe you'll come back and join us again. before
That
the
would
end
be
of the
fun.
season. All right, guys. See you later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.